much. It's my great pleasure to be here with you all tonight, and I want to extend my appreciation and gratitude to the Wild Rose Party for inviting me up here to address the people. I also want to thank my family, friends, acquaintances, and supporters. I'm nothing without the people who support me. I'm not a politician, I'm not a salesman, I'm not a seasoned debater. I'm not educated in law, medicine, business, or some other perceived font of wisdom and knowledge. I don't have a polished resume. My singular sartorial style is not usually well received. I'm not particularly charismatic, tall, or good looking, and good grief, I need a haircut. And even within the oil and gas industry, I'm a roughneck, and that's a position at the bottom of the chain of command in a rig. But yet, in spite of these things, almost because of them, I've been honored to be a voice for our oil and gas industry and the people who've been affected in this downturn. Now, I didn't do this to get my face out there. In fact, I'm someone who very much dislikes the spotlight. And while I will keep on raising my voice, I don't want to just tell people what they want to hear. I don't know if things in the oil patch are going to get better. I don't want to make promises I can't keep. I don't want to let people down or disappoint them, but I'll never betray them or sell them down the river. And I feel that with governance, sometimes it's like a drunkard. The situation has to hit rock bottom before they'll face the reality and accept the truth of their condition. Now, don't get me wrong, the NDP is always going to fall off the wagon with their misguided and delusional political philosophy. But we have to look at the tragedy that's unfolding before us here in Alberta as an opportunity. We also have to search ourselves and ask why it is so many Albertans became disillusioned with the other options that were on the table. Sometimes it's better if the house gets burnt completely to the ground than just damaged in the fire, because it forces you to build something better in its place. And that's the provincial government I'm talking about, not the Wild Rose Party. Please don't get me wrong there. And as Wild Rose members from across the great province of Alberta come together as one entity here in Red Deer, now is, in the words of Ronald Reagan, a time for choosing. I was fresh out of university in the mid-2000s. Alberta was the place to be if you needed work. King Ralph was still our premier. Oil was above $100 a barrel. The Oilers back then, they made the playoffs. We were the economic powerhouse of Confederation. Alberta still felt conservative, and I mean that as a political philosophy and not as a brand. Now let me tell you something about Alberta. It's the only province I'd ever been to where I saw an opportunity and a middle-class lifestyle as realistic for working-class people. BC and Quebec, that's where the previous places that I lived, they stand in obvious contrast to this model. Didn't matter whether you had a high school diploma or not. Didn't matter whether you needed to retrain and learn a new trade when you got here. Because if you were willing to work hard, play by the rules, and give respect, you could fashion a pretty decent life for yourself. You could have children and go to bed knowing you were providing them with a better life than they had growing up. Merit was the deciding factor, not your name or your pedigree or how you looked, or what your beliefs were, or what your seniority was, or whether you were part of some bourgeoisie. It took me a long time to realize that Alberta had, in fact, the greatest levels of social and economic equality anywhere in Canada. When I went home to visit family, I felt proud to be a roughneck, because for the first time in my life, I could get the bill from my parents when we went out. Now, in terms of time and money, Albertans are the most generous province in Canada. This is statistically documented. That's charitable donations. And this is on top of also working the most hours. Albertans don't care if you have a funny accent, and they don't care if your skin has more melanin in it than the next guy. They don't care if you dress funny. And they got some pretty good styles themselves. You don't have to be some hip, cool dude. You can be different. You can be yourself. You can hold on to your identity and your culture, because it's not going to divide you into a group in the same way it would in other Canadian jurisdictions. We're all Albertans, but rock that Newfoundland sticker on the back of your truck. The main thing Albertans care about is that you're honest, hardworking, and good at your job. People find meaning and identity in their work. Work's a huge part of our life here in Alberta. It's one of the first questions a girl will ask you when you talk to her. But Albertans are a humble and a hardworking people, and it's ingrained in our culture. But the Alberta I see today in no way resembles what used to make Alberta great. This province is headed down a dark path. Everything that was good about Alberta, although I don't see it in the career politicians or the economy or the government or even in them streets, I see it every day in our fellow citizens, and I see that dim flicker of hope that remains in the eyes of the people. Now, in 2 years, our unemployment rate has skyrocketed, nearly doubling. Albertans who've either lost their jobs or had their work and pay scaled back number in the hundreds of thousands. As of September 2016, the only provinces with a worse unemployment rate than Alberta were Newfoundland, PEI, and New Brunswick. Nova Scotia is beating us. Let that sink in. And it's not just blue-collar guys in the patch that felt these effects, it's everyone. All of us who came to depend on the economy that made Alberta what it was. So where do we go from here? Straight into the winner's circle in that acceptance speech. And that means we develop plans and strategies that will appeal to people who are currently on the fence. Is this weekend about deciding policy to please our members? Or is this weekend about devising a plan to solicit a mandate from Albertans? Now we have to go through a process of self-examination here in Red Deer. Whether people's apprehensions about our party are valid or just petty, we have to at least ask the questions if we want their answers. And we must be cognizant that there are a lot of people we could bring into our big tent. People who would be supportive of our message of personal freedom, low taxes, responsible and limited government, and a strong economy and strong representation of Albertans' interests in confederation. I speak with many young people and a lot of people in the city, and so often they're only aware of what the Wild Rose is against, not what they're for. We aren't steering the conversation. Too often we're just reacting against it. If we just interact with various actors and interest groups and the media and then expect them to parse our message to the people and give us a fair shake, it'll get lost in translation. We need a party that answers to its members, but also we need a party with its finger on the pulse of the people. Jean-Paul Sartre once said, people who live in society have learned how to see themselves in mirrors as they appear to their friends. I have no friends. Is that why my flesh is so naked? Think about that. Now people, I'm pressed for time, so I got to finish it up here, but I want to leave you with these words. People are upset across this province, and they're looking to the Wild Rose to get them back on track. Now we can't be divided, and we can get drawn into battles that distract from our basic message, but we must continue to build bridges and earn the trust of the people over the next 2 years. Across the province, listening to everyone, not just in the small towns, but in the big cities too. Not just in the west, in the east, up the north, down the south, everywhere. We have to listen to the people and formulate our mandate here that they want to give us. But I'll tell you one thing, everyone I've had the chance to meet with who's involved with this party, they reassure me. They reassure me that this is the party Conservatives are going to be getting behind in 2019. And I believe Brian Jean's the man to lead us in this endeavor. Albertans of all... Our political opponents, our political friends, people in the middle, Albertans of all political stripes, they love this province. They love its people, and they want to see us return to a new era of prosperity. So let's help Brian and the Wild Rose Party in building this platform and casting a compelling vision for a stronger Alberta. Thank you and God bless.